Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you the best Brute TIGREX weapons tier list. The max skill level meta, as this video features a tier list of the most powerful melee weapons to come to the game, or at least for some of them. We don't have the stats yet. Until they officially release it, I can't put that data out there, but when we do, we can finally make the build and take a look at it, but it is the first subspecies of a boss monster, so we can just already predict it's going to be incredibly powerful and rival, if not beat out Black Diablos. This analysis will also take into account the equipment skill and the weapon themselves. Each weapon has different mechanics, different attacks, etc. We're going to take that and combine it with how efficient it is with the equipment skill, and then we're going to put out an overall grade for it. And the thing is, if you are going to take advantage of these, you must expect to max them out, because at grade 10, these skills will be maxed out. So, at grade 10, you need it in order to go from, like, I believe they have, like, a formula going on, like, it's a level 5, 6, something like that. But if they do it at grade 10, that means you get all 5 levels to max out a weapon. This is the first time this has ever happened. However, these make the Brute TIGREX weapons extremely powerful and definitely worth going after. Alright, let's jump right into it. First, we're going to start off with a D tier, and this is the first time I have, like, put so many weapons in here, because they're really just that bad when you think about it, or it doesn't actually take you that long. First off, we have the Sword and Shield. Aggressive Dodger is terrible for the Sword and Shield. Even if you do have that damage increase, the Sword and Shield isn't a one-hit wonder. It's not meant to spam one attack like for the Greatsword. Generally, you just want to bash the monster's brains in with falling shield bash spam or style change. So you either want to change its styles, or again just spam backstep and then launch into the monster and spam that over and over again. Honestly, Skyward Striker would have been 1,000 times better, but just because of the skill and the fact the Sword and Shield, how it operates, this combination is absolutely terrible. Definitely belongs in D. And speaking of the D tier, you also have the Gun Lance. Honestly, if it wasn't for another weapon on this list, this would make no sense at all. You have Aggressive Dodger on the Gun Lance. Its shelling type is wide. So Aggressive Dodger makes 0 sense, because when it comes to wide, it's your shelling damage. So it's very strange. And even if you do style change for guard reload, you aren't going to dodge. You're going to sit there and stand in front of the monster and guard it. Do you get that extra shell? Yes. Do you do extra damage? Yes. But it's not like charged shelling where you get charged shelling level damage. It doesn't work that way. Overall, it's a terrible skill and has no real utility for it. It's likely the worst Brute TIGREX weapon in this entire list. You can argue for the other ones, but this one just like takes the icing on the cake because it almost makes no sense. Moving on, we have the Switch Axe. Lithinous is a terrible skill. It's honestly not all bad for the fact it does reduce damage, can save you from spending a potion or waiting until your HP restores. But for the Switch Axe, you're better off with something like Morph Boost. It's really, the thing is with the Switch Axe, yes, you're going to dodge, especially with the large amount of windows you have as far as motion values and just how much you're vulnerable during certain monster and attack frames, etc. However, that's just what it is. And if you thought that was worse for the Switch Axe, it's even worse for the Greatsword. Here's the thing, if it wasn't for the Greatsword itself, it would be at the bottom of the Brute TIGREX list, of the fact that the Greatsword does an awesome amount of damage with one hit. The thing is, you're not going to dodge with the Greatsword. You have shoulder tackle, and if you style change to the rage/style change, it guards. And if you're using Aggressive Dodger, you aren't taking damage. So why would you want to use this to take damage to begin with? Therefore, for every meta combination, when you come for the Greatsword, Lithinous is borderline useless for the Greatsword. It pretty much is. Unless you dodge just out of habit or fail an aggressive dodging thing, and then all of a sudden you're going to smack the monster in its face. No, it's just not worth it. So for this, Greatsword definitely belongs in the D tier. And to continue the chain of massive disrespect for weapons when it comes to Brute TIGREX, you have the Charge Blade. Okay, here's the thing. Evading reload isn't completely useless. Yes, it does fill your files. But Charge Blade's entire point uses guard point to maximize damage and mechanics. So why would you get used to evading and not guard point comboing into your amped discharge combos? Guard pointing into offensive guard and perfect guarding with guard point equals amazingness. You're not going to dodge a lot with it. So unless you're chasing the monster, why are you banking on evading reload? Yes, it fills your files, but guess what? That's not the entire point. More boost, again, per offensive guard, etc. is what makes the Charge Blade so good. So this completely just goes against what the Charge Blade, at least for the meta way it's played right now, it just makes it, it makes no sense. There's no reason to have evading reload. You're not going to dodge, block your vials, and then your files, and then you're going to do the whole guard point charge thing. No, it's not working that way. You're also losing DPS just trying to charge it with evading reload because of the fact that your files aren't going to be refilled at an 100% gauge rate. You're better off just spamming your slash attacks and then going into your super amped elemental discharge guard point combos. That's the way you play the Charge Blade. Moving on, we have the C tier. Sadly, as we get out of the D tier, unfortunately, it doesn't really get much better. As we move on to the Hunting Horn, the thing about it is it's not completely terrible. Its melee set is actually good. It has evasion up as well as attack up L, which is actually pretty dang good. The problem is Power Prolonger doesn't matter so much because all you have to do is respam the entire melee set over and over again to reapply buffs. However, it's still decently useful. You want to make sure you have enough notes so that you can go ahead and spam your, your Sonic Wave thingy, not that, the other attack. I totally forgot about it. That's that for the Hunting Horn. But yes, to spam and inflict your buffs onto your teammates, you're going to have to redo it over and over again anyways. And the problem is, along with this, its third note set is also blue, blue, red, blue, which means you can't combo into it with the first two sets. So you can't do blue, blue, red, red. With some of the third set for the Hunting Horns, it's blue, red, red, and then blue. That allows you to pretty much combo in to all of your buffs in the first set. You can't do that here. And although it does increase the duration for your teammates, it doesn't really matter because, again, all you have to do is just spam it over again, and then you're going to spam its attack anyways, the one that inflicts buffs to your teammates. So this doesn't make any sense to put Power Prolonger with it. If the Melody set wasn't as good, it would definitely drop to D, but because Melody set is good and it is actually kind of useful, actually for two of them are useful, that's why Hunting Horn lands in the C tier. Moving on, we have the B tier. For the B tier, we have the Heavy Bowgun. It does a ton of damage and has a pretty solid ammo set. With slicing ammo first, you can go evading reload build and not have to clear the spread ammo. Sadly, if you do, you're never going to use defensive reloading. And honestly, it's almost borderline useless. The Heavy Bowgun's power and utility make up for this poor skill. It does have some use. The only problem is, here's the thing. When you perfect guard with a Heavy Bowgun, it's actually really weird as well. It's not like every other one where you have to tap and hold. No. You attack, and after you attack, are not attacking at all. That's how you guard with the Heavy Bowgun. And for Heavy Bowguns, if you're going to maximize damage and take advantage of its power, you're not going to use offensive guard with it anyways, or anything that guard so that you could just guard against damage. No. It doesn't work that way. So unless you're really good at offensive guarding, you have to use guard to make up for defensive reloading. And it doesn't make any sense to do so. Especially with how powerful the ammo set is, and just like I mentioned before, it's a lot. There's evading reload, if you go that build, is a lot better than just sitting there and tanking damage. To proc anything offensive guard or defensive reloading, the monster has to attack you. Why are you waiting when you have the most when you have factually, if you do it per weapon type, the Heavy Bowgun hits the hardest out of all of them with the exception of super bows. And now on to the weapons that are actually worth going after, or if you're thinking of building them, you should totally do it. For the A tier, we have the dual blades. Power Prolonger is actually great for the dual blades. 167% into your demon mode, that's awesome. However, the only thing that pretty much keeps it from S tier is the fact if you're a dual bladesman and you know this, the thing is, you give up 6-fold Demon Slash every time, the longer you stay into it, because you actually want to go into Demon mode because you're going to be able to spam 6-fold Demon Slash, which is the most powerful combo. It's a shortcut into it. That's why you want to do it. However, again, staying in Demon mode itself for the longest time is not bad at all. Burst, or at least Dauntless, would have been perfect and jumped dual blades to S tier. However, the dual blades itself is an S tier weapon, so combine this along with Power Prolonger, you already have something that's insanely powerful. In fact, it's so dang strong that it would be very, depending on the attack stat itself, Black Diablos dual blades move over, you have something that's going to rival you or match you as far as damage goes. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the data matches up, but you could already predict that this is probably going to be the most powerful or above or match the most powerful weapon, which is Black Diablos dual blades in this game. However, we're not done with the A tier, as we also have the light bowgun in the A tier. Ballistics is perfect for its ammo set. Having only 3 of each allows you to rotate quickly through both, which is awesome. With that being said, the critical range increase is a huge benefit and allows you to be out of melee range from a lot of monsters while still doing maximum damage. So for those of you light bowgun users, yes, the light bowgun is actually really good. The only thing keeping the light bowgun into S tier is you need recoil speed and recoil down 3, which keeps the weapon out of the higher tier. For those of you that don't know, and people seem to not know this, if you each weapon has its own different recoil rate. Just because something only needs 1 level on something else for another light bowgun, that doesn't mean it's going to apply the same over here. They do that to balance it out. So unless you look at the tool and you apply it correctly, and you're like, okay, and this even reflects when you look it up on your armor in game. So if that doesn't go to low or fast, you're not doing it right. That's the big mistake I see when it comes to people theory crafting with light bowguns. You do need recoil and reload speed 3, unfortunately, with this one, even though it only has spread. I forgot something else. But yes, that's the light bowgun. It's really powerful though. Definitely agree, if you like it, you should definitely go after the light bowgun. But otherwise, there is a better ranged weapon in this set. And for that better ranged weapon I'm talking about, well, of course it's going to be the S tier. It's literally the strongest ranged weapon type in this entire game. It's the bow. It's a super weapon, okay? It has charge 3 to spread 4. But wait a minute, spread 4? That sounds terrible. It's the highest damage at close range. Well, it would be terrible if it weren't for the fact that this weapon has ballistics. So as someone that has played all the spread bows in the game as far as super weapons go, because there's only 2 right now, Kushala and Silver Rathalos. I have both of them maxed out, 10-5, you know, like other creators should have right now, and they should totally grind more. But you know what? It's extremely powerful. However, there's always a caveat. You're in front of the monster, close to a monster, so guess what? It's going to whack you in the face. It's not a skill issue, just the monster isn't going to sit there and let you beat it to death. That's the factual thing it is. But what ballistics does when it's maxed out, it allows you to be a whole charge sidestep or more away from the monster to do maximum damage. This allows you to safely stay away from the monster, not take any damage, and you can just blast it to death with your spread bows. But in addition, not only can you blast it with high raw damage, it also is blast status. So because it has blast status, you can build it up really quickly just because the bow's arrows, especially with a charge 3 to damage 4, you can just blast your arrows so quickly and proc a lot of blast damage, which is really great. It's actually pretty insane just how powerful this bow is in general. And when you put this whole thing together, this combination actually matches and likely exceeds the Black Diablos bow. It's a super weapon into a super weapon skill, which makes it incredibly powerful. So I'm looking forward to making a ton of content once I max mine out and I do the data comparison between Black Diablos and this one. But what I also can't wait to announce is that we finally have melee weapon super weapons that aren't the sword and shield. Because seriously, the Mr. B sword and shield is probably the only melee super weapon that you can kind of consider it that way. And I consider a super weapon something that has a unique skill and or stats that just make it incredibly strong and overpowered, etc. And that you have the longsword, because the Brute TIGREX S tier longsword, it's always going to be S tier because the longsword spirit gauge boost is just ridiculous. We have Quick Work. Quick Work makes the longsword, at least the Brute TIGREX one, the first super weapon. The Quick Work built into a weapon is absolutely insane at level 3. What this does is this opens up the build for the rest of your slots for just pure damage. This allows you to do multiple things. Charge your spear gauge faster, spam helm splitter, parry literally everything with maximum speed, so you can just, you get a lot of breathing room for a monster attacking you to counter. It's just absolutely insane what Quick Work does for longsword. Built into the weapon at max, along with very likely incredibly powerful stats, this makes this the most powerful longsword in the entire game so far. And last but not least, although it's the last, that doesn't mean it's not bad. It's in the S tier. The Lance finally has something called a super weapon. Out of all the Brute TIGREX weapons, this is possibly the best skill out of all of them. Actually, factually is. Dauntless is the best. All you have to do is spring forward at level 5 to get a 25% damage increase for 10 seconds, which is insane. The thing is, the Lance received a huge buff the last weapon update, allowing you to spam Leaping Thrust and quickly move out of the way of monster attacks. With a Lance, it also is a short evasion. Because of that, you're not doing a lot to... You're not doing like a huge movement to pump forward and activate Dauntless. It's insane. Insane how powerful it is, and this makes the lance, this lance in particular, the best lance of the entire game so far. And again, with the most powerful equipment skill into it, it's just insanely powerful. And I'm definitely going to build this lance and use this lance to get my gold lance medal. That's how good it is, and you should definitely build it if you're a lance main. If you're thinking about the lance, like me, I'm definitely going to build this and max out for the brute TIGREX version. Hopefully this video helps you decide which brute TIGREX weapon to build. Pretty much anything in the A or S tier is totally worth building. You can skip the rest. I know, a lot of people are going to be like, but my weapon type, your weapon type sucks. At least when it comes to brute TIGREX. You don't want to build something where it doesn't make any sense for a majority of builds or just the mechanics of the weapon in general. I know they did this in terms of balance, but there is a meta and there's a hierarchy. This is the hierarchy, and that's how powerful they are. So again, if you're going through A or S, I am totally building a super bow, that's super longsword, and that's super lance. I'm going after 3 max brute TIGREX weapons. Something I've never done before, but because they're this powerful, heck, why not? So I'm going to definitely go after all 3 of those. I wonder if the others will. They probably won't because they don't have max super weapons to begin with. With that being said, please do me a huge favor. Like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. For those of you going after these, they're insanely powerful. If you are going after A or S, they will factually serve you very well. And I can't wait to do a bunch of content on these as well. With that being said, hopefully y'all are doing great on your drops. Hopefully your drift smelts are going well for Charge Master and Focus, because mines aren't going great at all. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I'm working really hard to make sure I get the right ones. Good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.